Hi, I am Don Blackwell. I am the Executive Director of the Gospel Broadcasting Network. Welcome to this episode of Truth on Wheels. Sometimes I like to do a program in which I emphasize good works that are going on in the brotherhood, and that's what we're going to do today. I've got a guest. Brother Terrence Brownlow-Dindy is here. Terrence, thanks for being with me on the program today.
My pleasure, Brother Don. Very, very good to be here.
Terrence is in town because of the Memphis School of Preaching lectureship, and I asked him, would you come over and let me interview you, because we're not very far from the Memphis School of Preaching, and he agreed to do that very graciously. Terrence is actually speaking tonight on a very interesting subject, and that is hedonism. By the time that you see this video, he will have already delivered that lesson, so you can go to the Memphis School of Preaching and watch it. But Terrence, can you give us a glimpse into that lesson you're going to deliver tonight?
Sure. I'll give you a little preview. It's a very interesting study. Hedonism, as we were talking before, it's not a subject that I've preached on before, but always pleased to be able to have those challenges to get into a study of something that you've not really broached that topic before. But hedonism obviously is a philosophical school of thought, kind of has its origins in the period of classical Greek philosophy or schools of thought, and some of the key players were people like Aristippus, the elder. He's one that established the school of the Cyrenaics. He was from Cyrene in northern Africa, and they were just wholly given to all types of illicit behavior for the sake of pleasure. And their theory or their philosophy was that everything that is pleasurable is intrinsically good. Everything that is not pleasurable or causes discomfort is intrinsically evil. And so that is how they chose what they would do in life or what direction they would take in life. And of course, you got Epicurus, whose name is more affiliated with the idea of hedonism. Of course, that's one of the groups that Paul is talking to on Mars Hill in Acts chapter 17, the Stoics and the Epicureans. And Epicurus had a brand of hedonism that was a little less fanatical, a little less crazy, I guess you would say, than Aristippus. A little more benign, but still the same thought that all decisions need to be made based on whether or not what we do is going to bring pleasure or going to bring pain. If it's going to bring pain, it was to be avoided. If it was going to bring pleasure, then it was to be engaged in. So,
well, that sounds extremely relevant to the day and age in which we live. So.
It really does. It really does. That's one of the things that caused me to really enjoy this study, even though there's some hard things within it as far as things, just things were palatable to the mind, but it is relevant. It kind of sounds like the United States of America today, unfortunately.
Very much, very much.
Yes,
well,
sir.
I'm looking forward to hearing that, and the viewers can go online to the YouTube page for the Forest Hill Congregation or msop.org and watch it. But the reason we're here today is we wanted to highlight the Texas School of Preaching, and Terrence is the director of the Texas School of Preaching. Terrence is a man I love and appreciate. He is a man of conviction. He's a man who puts the truth above all else, and that's what I admire about you. So tell us about the school, the Texas School of Preaching. Where is it located?
Yeah, well, I want to say first and foremost, I appreciate you, Brother Don, and definitely that this mutual love and appreciate you, my brother.
Well, thank you.
And for your stance on the truth, we are extremely grateful. Texas School of Preaching is located in College Station, Texas.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
College Station, Texas. That's where the university is, isn't it?
Yeah, University, A&M University. And so, yeah, we're there. We've been there for a little over 3 years. The school has been operational for a little over 3 years, and that was the occasion that brought us to College Station. Of course, we had labored, my wife and me, in Florida for 7 years prior to that, but we had a vision. The elders there were elders at that particular time, Jason Rollo and Dink McDonald, of coming together to work together. Initially, it was just the idea of us being able to work together was appealing to us. And then when we were sitting down in the midst of those types of discussions, we learned that we had also a mutual desire to establish a preaching school. And something I wanted to do while in Louisiana years ago for 13 years. Really didn't have the resources nor the manpower to make that happen, even though a school is sorely needed in that part of the country. I found out that Jason's always had that ambition as well. And so when we got to talking about that, we decided, well, let's do this. We understand that preaching is a part of God's plan. You look all through the New Testament, the Old for that matter as well. You see that preaching has always been a part of God's plan, and we understand that preachers don't grow on trees. People use that terminology, a natural born this, a natural born that. There's no natural born preachers. Everybody's got to be trained to going to be a gospel preacher, and so it only made sense, and we knew it was God's will because of what we see in the scriptures.
So how many students do you have now?
So we got 9 students right now. So we started out with 9, still got 9. We've graduated our first class last June. And so all 5 of those guys are out in the field doing the Lord's work diligently.
So there's 5 guys that have actually graduated, and they're all preaching now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Tell me about the philosophy or the approach of the school.
Sure. So from the very beginning, Nehemiah chapter 8, verse number 8 was going to become our motto. And of course, there's many different places you could go. Obviously, 2 Timothy 2:2, 2 Timothy 4:2 are beautiful mottos for the gospel preacher as well. But I liked Nehemiah 8:8, where the Bible teaches us in regards to Ezra and the other preachers that they read in the book and the law of God distinctly, gave the sense and caused them to understand the reading. And so in that passage of scripture, you find out, you see a devotion to the book. Whenever we preach, where do we start with preaching? We start with the book. And so, we start anywhere else, we might have some problems, obviously, but we start with God's book. Obviously, we end with God's book. But also, you see a devotion to a hermeneutical competence in that verse, and that's something that obviously we're very, very devoted to at the Texas School of Preaching. We got to be able to know the book, know how to rightly divide it, and then also distinction in preaching. So not only did they read in the book and the law of God, but they did so distinctly, and so that's something that we recognize as the founders of the school, that in some places there's a lack of distinct preaching these days, and really would to God that the Lord's church will become dedicated to that all over again. Distinction in the Word of God, rather than trying to amalgamate or melt into what you see in the preaching that is done in the denominational world.
I see, even in the Lord's church, I'm bothered because I see so much preaching these days is self-help preaching. Yes, sir. It's self-affirmation. It's more like motivational speakers.
Right.
And if you deal with subjects like the authority of the scriptures, or you're dealing with things like sin, people don't want to hear that.
That's right. People balk at that type of preaching these days, and that just goes back, I think, to some of the laxity of our society. Obviously, the postmodern culture that's upon us that teaches that nothing is to be offensive, nothing is to sound judgmental or anything of that nature. And I really think that the church has been crippled in a lot of ways by the culture around us. Of course, we see that happening all the time throughout the history of the scriptures. And one of the reasons God wanted the Canaanites exterminated was, number one, because of his judgment. His judgment was ripe in regards to the behavior of the people there, but also he wanted there to be no ungodly influence between his people and the Canaanite idolaters that existed there. And so you see that being a problem, an age-old problem. I think we're still dealing with it in the church today. And so we definitely want to train men that are going to have the courage and the boldness to stand up and to preach God's word without reservation, without compromise, obviously in love. People sometimes mistake us for mistakenly think that we're not interested in preaching truth and love. Of course we are. Of course we are. But sometimes love, it looks different from the scripture's perspective than it does from our own perspective.
Now, if somebody's watching this and they're interested in being a preacher, tell me about the curriculum. If somebody goes there, how long is the program? Sure. What's the curriculum like?
Yeah, sure. So it's a very typical preaching school model. We didn't try to reinvent the wheel. We've got some very good schools of preaching out there that have existed for a long time. You mentioned Memphis a moment ago, and we're big fans of Memphis, known Curtis Cates, that warrior before he passed. BJ and I are very good friends for many years, and so we see other models out there. Didn't try to reinvent the wheel. It's a 2-year program. over the course of the 2 years, our students will have taken 57 classes. They will have achieved 171 credit hours, approximately 3,400 clock hours in the classroom, and some of the other activities that we do, some of the practicums that we engage in. And so it's a pretty thorough and robust program.
Will they be expected to be in school Monday through Friday, like 9 to 5? Is that?
Yes, sir. So we start chapel every morning at 8:30. So we're all required to be there prior to that. And then at 9 o'clock we'll be in classes, and they'll be in class until 4 o'clock every afternoon. So yes, sir.
And what about the summer?
And so summer, so we give them a very short summer break. I know, again, there's some different models out there of how this is done, but give them about a 6-week summer break. It really amounts to about 5, because one of those weeks will be a practicum where they go out to the camp, our youth camp out at Bangs, Texas, and they will help to run the camp out there, or help to serve rather in the camp. And so they got about 5 weeks where they're free to be able to go and spend some time with their families and recreate or whatever they would like to do. But then right back to the class the 3rd week in July.
Now, if somebody wanted to be a student there, what would be the process? How do they start, and how do they go about this?
Sure. So you just go to our website, texasschoolofpreaching.com, and just go to there's a button at the top where you can request an application. And so if anyone wanted to come to school at Texas School of Preaching, that's where they would start. Just go to the website again, texasschoolofpreaching.com. and click on the link or the button to request an application. We'll send you an application, and then when we receive it back, we'll contact you and go from there.
Now, somebody might be thinking, I want to preach the gospel, I want some training, but how do I live during that time? You know, I've got to have money to live on. Can I work, or how does that work for support?
Yeah, actually, that's probably the biggest question that we get, and we're no different probably than our other good sound preaching schools. That question probably comes across BJ's office, and of course his desk quite often, over at Tri-Cities as well, and some of our other good schools, Florida. But yeah, it's a great question. So obviously, with the intensity of the program, there's not going to be any availability for these men to hold secular jobs while they're in school. And it's okay, because the Brotherhood is very delighted to be able to support men to learn and to be trained to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. You and I went to preaching school, back in our day, decades ago. We won't give those exact numbers, but it's been a little while ago for both of us. So back in our day, we had to garner support. And so basically what we would help our potential students do is to get draft support letters, fix budgets, things like that. We'll help them with also contact congregations that are interested in supporting the school, and get those letters to them with the men's intent of what they plan on doing with their life, hopefully preaching the gospel. And we go from there.
So do they have to raise their own support, or does the school have some that they can supply?
Yeah, so we've got some. So we've got a pretty robust scholarship fund that we use supplementally. We definitely encourage the men to be about the business of trying to get their own support together. And so that's why it's very important that people enroll in a timely manner, because it takes a little bit of time to get the support that's needed. But if we have any shortcomings in the raising of the support, then we definitely have some scholarship funds available that are there because of gracious brethren.
So if somebody says, I really want to go, you'll find a way. The support's not going to stop it.
The support will not stop them. We will make sure that everyone who wants to come to the Texas School of Preaching to be trained to preach the gospel will be able to do so.
If a man has a family, he's married and he has children, this is not just for young guys like a college. Anybody could come.
That's correct. So in our first class, we had 2 graduates that were in their 50s. Okay. We had 2 that were in their 20s, and one that just turned 20 when he graduated. So all different ages are welcome.
I remember talking to a fellow about going to a school of preaching, and he was a little bit older, and I think in his 50s, and he said, Don, I've been out of school a long time. I don't think I could cut it. Yeah. What do you say to that guy?
I would encourage him. Brother Don, we've had lots of men who have called, and that's been some of the concerns that have been expressed to us as well. I've had a lot of people get really nervous about the Greek and things like that. We really take pride in the fact that we offer a very robust Greek program there at the Texas School of Preaching, and we assure people that if you come and put forth the effort, you are going to succeed. We are going to make sure of that. And so we don't worry, and we ask men not to worry about whether or not you've been in academics for the last year or so, or if it's been decades since you've been involved academically. We can help you to be successful at the Texas School of Preaching.
So if they want to learn more, texasschoolofpreaching.com.
Yes, sir.
And that will show them everything they need to know about the school.
Yes, sir. So our handbook is on there where you can take a look at our courses, all of our curriculum. You can get to meet the instructors on the website, see all of our instructors. We've got 5 full-time instructors and about 6 or 7 adjunct instructors as well. And so you can meet them, our staff. Of course, my beautiful wife, Sheena, is our office manager. And so you can learn a lot about us. Our brief resumes are on the website, introductions to us all. And so, yeah, you can learn all of that. Our newsletters there.
What if somebody wanted to come out and pay you a visit? Could they come check out the school?
I'm glad you asked that question. So I always tell people this. Of course, we were talking about my kiddo, my middle son, before we went on air here, and he's playing football at South Carolina now. But Sheen and I got to see what the process was like when a university wants to recruit your kid to come play ball, and we watched them roll out the red carpet for this kid, man. Literally dozens of schools just roll out the red carpet. And I got to thinking about the same time he was being recruited, it was about the same time we were getting ready to move to College Station to help start the school. And I just got to thinking, man, if these universities are rolling out the red carpet like they do to recruit someone to come play a game, I love football, man, but it's a game at the end of the day,
right,
then how much more so should we be rolling out the red carpet to get men to come preach? Now, obviously, we don't have the budget that a Division I university has to work with, but we've certainly got enough of a budget based on the grace and mercy that God has extended toward us to be able to bring anyone out who would like to come visit the Texas School of Preaching. And we brought people out. We call them official visits, just like they call them when they're recruiting for sports. And so we'll bring people out for official visits. We've done that on a number of different occasions for a number of families. We'll bring you out. We will take care of your travel expenses. We'll take care of your stay while you're with us. We usually try to get men and their families to come out perhaps on a Saturday, worship with us at the beautiful BCS congregation, another big asset. And when you come to the Texas School of Preaching, is a BCS congregation. Worship with us on Sunday, then stay over Monday so they can sit through class for the day as well. And so if men are able to make that happen, then we cover the expenses.
College Station's a nice town, too. I've gone out there and done gospel meetings, and I just really like the area.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice town. Said, man, my wife and I, we are native Oklahomans, and so growing up, A&M was the enemy, but we've learned to love, the atmosphere there, and we definitely love the people. But the town as well is just a really nice place to be.
It is. It is. So, well, brother, thank you so much. We appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate brethren who have backbone to stand up for the truth. They still teach the old Jerusalem gospel, and they are more concerned about the Lord and pleasing Him than anything else. And I know that's what you're doing as you're directing the school, and appreciate you giving us a few minutes. I'll give you the last word. Anything else you want to say?
Well, just want to say this. If you come to the Texas School of Preaching, know that we've got a tremendous faculty and staff. I mean, I believe a faculty makes the preaching school. I really do. Like I said, the town is nice. Yeah. Our facilities are nice. As a matter of fact, we are building a brand new facility. It should be done on next month, Lord willing.
Wow.
Have a wing that is dedicated for the school. Right now, our church building is kind of doing double duty, but in our new building, we'll have a wing just for the school. We'll have a new library, the whole 9 yards. And so that's up and running. And by next month is what the contractors are telling us. But the faculty, and we got a faculty that I certainly believe is second to none. I love all the faculties that I know are teaching the truth. We love them all. We're very close with them. I'm definitely got some partiality. I think our faculty is second to none. We've got Jason Rollo is our associate director. We got Tom Moore is one of our full-time instructors. Also, our dean of students, Mornay Stefanis, is full-time instructor. You know Mornay well. We just hired on Brother Ronnie Sherfitz is coming on with us as a full-time instructor. Ronnie's from the Austin area.
Yeah, I know Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie's good brother,
He's
solid.
a good guy. Yeah.
Yes, he is, and qualified. And then, of course, Dink McDonald, also one of our elders at BCS and one of our full-time instructors. And then our preacher, John Hall at BCS, is also one of our full-time instructors. And then besides those guys, man, I can't name them all, but we got a wonderful host of adjunct instructors as well. And so you'll come, you'll get instruction from men that are qualified. Most of us have worked in preaching schools at some point in our lives, and many of us have got a lot of experience in training preachers. And so I'd love for anybody who's interested to contact us.
Well, thank you, brother. We sure appreciate you being here.
Yes,
and we would encourage you, if you are interested in learning more about that school, or maybe a good school of preaching in another area, reach out to us at the Gospel Broadcasting Network, and we would be delighted to assist you in that. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Truth on Wheels. Until next time, be faithful.
Greetings, friends and family in Christ. My name is Terrence Brownlow-Dindy. I'm the director of the Texas School of Preaching. I want to welcome you to our new facility. God has blessed us through the generous support of those who love the Texas School of Preaching, support the preaching of the gospel of Jesus Christ, to be able to construct a new facility. We started the Texas School of Preaching about 3.5 years ago, had a vision of being able to have a dedicated space for the school. And again, with the blessings of God and those who are so generous in their support of the school, been able to make that happen. And so we'd like to welcome you again to the facility of the Texas School of Preaching. Follow me this way. Whenever you enter into the school through this entrance here, first person that will greet you is our lovely office manager, Sheena Brownlow-Dindy. This is her office, and of course she handles most of the workings of the school from day to day. Certainly couldn't make it without her, but this will be her office, and again, she'll be the first person to greet you whenever you come to visit the Texas School of Preaching. The BCS Church of Christ has been serving as our predominant facility. Of course, our fellowship hall and our auditorium have served as our classrooms for both our second and first year classes. Obviously, that's not the most ideal thing. And again, we had the vision and the hope and the dreams and the prayers of being able to have a facility that is dedicated to the school. And as you see right now, this is one of our classrooms. Everything is still under construction for the time being, Lord willing. In about 2 to 3 weeks, everything will be fully functional and ready to go. But this is one of our 2 classrooms. We've got a classroom for the first year students and a classroom for the second year students. Plenty of room. This room will be state of the art. We'll have monitors up for PowerPoint presentations, podiums, desk chairs. We really look forward to being able to occupy and utilize this space to the glory of God. Obviously, every good school's got to be able to have a library. And so we've been blessed with a library space here as well. You can kind of look around. Again, things are still under construction for the next couple of weeks, but plenty of space to be able to house our books. We've had many very generous donors who have given us libraries that we've been able to sort through. Again, within about 3 to 4 weeks time, all of our books will be up on our shelves for the use of our students and our faculty members. Also, this will serve as our chapel. And so we'll have pews in as well, stations for people to be able to study, quiet spaces where they'll have time to be able to look through books and do some of their work and their assignments here. Also over here, something that we did here that we thought was kind of innovative. We've got a space that's dedicated for artifacts and displays. Very, very high on apologetics here at the Texas School of Preaching. And so we've got some men and partners of the school that are going to help us out to be able to supply this area with some artifacts, archaeological artifacts, things that pertain to geology, archaeology, paleontology, different things like that. And so we'll be able to utilize this space for that as well. But this will be our library for the Texas School of Preaching. If you follow the Texas School of Preaching, then you also know that we have the Biblical Christianity podcast that we host on a weekly basis. We've also been very eager to have our own podcast studio. So far, we've been able to borrow a podcast studio that's been graciously loaned to us, but we want to make sure that we had that included in our space here. And so this will be a state-of-the-art podcast studio. Again, right now it's not furnished. We're just getting the carpet laid down. But before it's all said and done, this studio will be fully furnished, and it'll be a state-of-the-art studio that we can be able to continue to record our podcast and any other type of recording adventures that we get into at the school. This hallway is for the offices for the administrators. And so we've got some of our full-time instructors, as well as my office is going to be down here in this hallway. Our Dean of Students, Tom Moore, his office is going to be here. Brother Mornay Stephanus, one of our full-time instructors' office is here as well. We just recently hired a new full-time instructor, Brother Ronnie Sherfus. His office is here as well. We also have a break room down here for our students between classes whenever they need a little bit of time to rest their brains, get a little bit of physical nourishment, have a space that will also be dedicated to them for that purpose.